The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
You know, we've spent 7 years trying to persuade right-wingers, no, he really was born in Hawaii. We have his birth certificate. Stop with the crazy conspiracy theories. But let's just think, you know, for a thought experiment for a moment. If Obama were born in another country, had no love for this country, and had set out to destroy America, what would he be doing differently? And now
I can't think of anything.
Pot.
What?
And now let's get them smoking pot.
Yeah.
That'll be a boon to the economy.
Ruth Marcus, a liberal columnist for the Washington Post, she came up with something. I mean, I never even checked it when I wrote my column. I just said pot makes you stupid just because I know it empirically.
Oh, it totally does.
Yeah, and apparently there have been studies that show that you lose regular marijuana smoking cuts 8 points off your IQ. 8 points.
And 100 points off your initiative and ambition. It is as if they've legalized retard pills. Yeah, you have a kick, but you won't be able to accomplish anything in your life, including delivering a newspaper.
Right. How about here's another one, too. I've heard about this one from people who listen to the show, and there's an Army guy that called me, and his wife, he was trying to get his wife into the country. She's a British subject. I mean, this guy's in the military. He's an officer. His wife is a British subject. I mean, wouldn't you think these are the kind of people you want coming into the country?
Not from our INS.
No.
We're looking for a Pakistani goat herder.
No. Remember when O decided he needed a shiny new object to show Latino voters before the election?
Read the article
Did you read
in the
this?
New York Times yesterday.
Yes.
And it's shocking. It's shocking.
Yeah. So what they did was they decided to legalize the 500,000 so-called dreamers, one of which was just arrested for running over 2 American kids in Washington State.
Right.
And instead, so they let the dreamers, the illegal aliens, come into the country. And so it came to be that 500,000 families, many of them with children, remain split to this day purely because Obama needed a mega pander to protect his own ass electorally. Both parties swear up and down that this won't happen with comprehensive immigration reform. Illegals will be sent to the back of the line for green cards behind people like the foreign-born spouses of American citizens who followed the rules and waited patiently for approval. But there's no more reason to believe that than there's a reason to believe that probationary legislation under the House's GOP plan would be rescinded if the border isn't expeditiously secured.
Right.
So they gave priority to 500,000 lawbreakers over 500,000 people who, I'm guessing 99% of them spoke English, and they had followed the rules.
Well, these are American citizens,
right,
who have married abroad, or at least married a foreigner and been living abroad. They come back. The stories, there was one after another. A guy, an American, he's an engineer living in Connecticut now. He got a job in upstate New York. He's been married to an Australian woman for like 17 years. They have 3 kids. He came back. His kids didn't even come to the airport in Australia with him because they thought they'd be joining him a week later. It's been 8 months. He had to open their gifts for them on Skype to show them what he had gotten them. He hasn't been able to see them. They don't want to come here on a tourist visa and risk violating a rule. But these families are not being reunited. The one thing that irritated me about the article, although it's technically that irritates me about the law. Look, if these are American citizens, natural-born American citizens, who happen to fall in love and marry a foreigner, fine, I'm all with, letting legitimate spouses and children in, obviously. The ones that ticked me off, and I don't know if the New York Times was just scraping the bottom of the barrel on this, are the foreigners who come here, immigrate to this country, go back to India and find a spouse, and then want to get the spouse in. I'm thinking if both you and your spouse were not born in America, how about you live in India?
I agree.
I mean, that should not be automatic. If you yourself have had to go through the process of becoming a citizen, now you get to bring in another foreign citizen. Well, it seems to me that everything's working together here, suggesting that you should be living in India, because I know what's coming next. It's the siblings, it's the brothers-in-law, it's the parents.
It's not the siblings. The siblings aren't as bad as the parents, because the parents are all near retirement age and they want to go on. They want to go on SSI. They can't get on social.
That's a big problem. You're right. And not only that, just thinking about it logically, it's obviously you need your spouse and children with you. What is this with bringing the parents in automatically? No, I'm sorry, that's a different track.
Right. Well, of course.
The Bible itself says,
well, of course,
a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto a woman. It doesn't say live with your parents your whole life.
No, but Ann, when they come over, when the parents come over, the kids have to sign this affidavit saying that the parents will not become wards of the state. But of course, that affidavit isn't worth the paper it's printed on, and they go down immediately to the welfare office and say, we've had a falling out, and I need a Section 8 apartment, and they go right to the front of the line over veterans and other Americans, and then they put them on. After they get into Section 8, they put them on SSI.
No, that's right. In fact, when I was working for the Senate Judiciary Committee in the 90s, the last time this immigration, actually not the last time, it's as Mickey Cow says, it's like a zombie. You can never kill it. This demand for amnesty for illegals and more mass immigration to get the Democrats' voters.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.